How are we doing? Ready to take questions?
Now that you're a couple weeks into camp and you've gotten more of an extended look at some of the undrafted guys, Carlton Johnson today seemed like he had a million pass breakups, and that quarterback group's got so much talent. How are you seeing him fit into that group now?
I think, like with young players like that, it's like how do they develop? Like he done a great job today, but it's like how does he move on from that? We're going to see him in pads, we see him in different situations, but I think for those young guys, it's like constant development. Where do they need to improve? What's their one thing they need to improve on? So he's doing a great job at the moment.
AD, can you talk about the transition sort of with 2 weeks of camp here? And now you're getting to maybe the first real test for you guys, what it will look like, how you guys are preparing for that this week as you lead up to the preseason?
Yeah, I think really and truthfully in these preseason games, you want to really, you really want to compete, and see what your guys have, like how do we simplify it for them? How do we allow them to play really fast? How do we see their talent? You're still in this evaluation phase of the team, the defense, so it's like, that's how we're looking at the moment.
What in particular do you look to get out of the first preseason game when it's live?
Exactly what I said. I think like we're really working on fundamentals. It's the first time to establish like how you play, your play style, see the first look of your players, and then you build from there. In a live event.
You had a really talented defensive line in Dallas last year. What is similar and different with the defensive line you're seeing coming together here?
That's a good question. It's quite similar, but the players have very different attributes. So, we have some really good edge players here. In Dallas, we had a lot more of edge players. Like in here, we have a lot more of interior players. So it's how you roll those players, like how you complement the edge players with the interior players, and really, we're still in that phase. I feel like right now where we're working out what some people can do and what they're best at, and try and get them in those spots. That's really once you get out of training camp, you want to know that, and we're getting close.
Why do you feel like the
Backing core, just without Jerome Baker's being out there a whole lot, I guess. How do you feel like that's coming together?
Yeah, I think it's coming together well. You think you can't discount the reps that T-Dot and Jerome missed. So as they come into the system, it's a new system for them. So this is a really valuable time, and you're seeing growth in T-Dot. You were seeing growth in Baker when he was out there, and then the young guy, T-Knight and Patio and Rat, those guys are coming on. It's the process, and you've just got to keep going with it and moving with it.
What stood out about Byron when you had him in full pads out here and kind of could see the combination of speed and physical that he has?
I think some of the things we can't discount. What stands out for Byron is like the person that he is. He's detailed. He carries himself like a professional, and he's mature. And then what happens is that spills out onto the field. On the field, you see his lower strength, you see his quickness. There's still a lot of growth in his game. So he'll keep developing, but you see the talent, you see the raw talent, you see some polished things too. He has an array of things that we got to keep honing and keep working out where he can best be used.
Riq Woolen is known as a press cover corner. He talked about he's been working on his off coverage. Can you talk about his development there?
Yeah, he spends time with K. Scott, and K. Scott's doing a great job with him. Les works with him there, and I think with people like that, like I said to you, we talk about all the time, with the coaches, how are we developing these guys, how are we moving them forwards, and where are their areas of development. So he spends those areas of time with the coaches, and then we kind of review those areas and see how we can keep improving them. But he's doing a great job.
Just talk about Julian Love, his leadership and what he provides for you overall in the defense, not just the back end.
Yeah, Julian's he's a great leader. And I think when you're in the growth phase of your defense, when you're trying to develop who you are, some of your best players being made of the right stuff is important, and Julian's doing a great job there. He comes to work every day, he takes the field the right way, he goes about his business the right way, and there's other guys on the defense, Jaron's doing the same thing, Leo's doing the same thing, there's other guys that are leading this defense by their actions, and that speaks way louder than words.
For your communication, because communication is an important part of this defense. How's that progressing?
It's getting, it's the second week of camp, and there's days when the communication's through the roof, and sometimes that happens on a lower install day, and the guys can think and they can process, and some things clear up them in a few days' time, and then other days it's lower as they're thinking. That's as you're building a new system, you see what you can put in, you see what you need to take out to allow them to play as fast and be as loud as they can be on the field.
Today it felt like there was a lot of high communication, high verbal energy. How would you describe the personality of the defense right now?
It's a good question. I would think like the personality of the defense is like a growth mindset right now. You know, we're still in like our kind of like phase where we're growing, we're understanding each other, we're developing our identity. It's easy to say what we want to be, but we have to become it. You know, like we're going to a place where teams will have to deal with us, you know, like and as we go through camp and as we go through the start of the season, we're building that. Like Mike's doing a great job of building that with the team mentality. And at the moment, that's where I see us is we're still just growing and growing. We're learning from our mistakes. We're looking at some of the stuff we do really good and we're just growing. You know, the energy was great today.
I know you guys have had the headsets on out here. You had them down at the stadium on Saturday. How do you guys feel the communication between you guys as a coaching staff is starting to develop the chemistry with you guys, what you want to hear on the headsets, what you don't, and kind of how that whole process is?
Yeah, it's just exactly what you just said. It's like we're new stuff, so we're learning, just like the players are learning. So as we're out there, it gives us a chance to kind of, I think everything has to be game relatable. The way people practice, the way people drill, the way we go about practice, where we stand, where our eyes are. And the more Mike puts us in game-like situations, it helps us all grow and connect, you know?
You and Mike obviously are really connected in your two roles. Just how have you, obviously since you got hired, just how have you seen that relationship grow between you and Mike McDonald as you're working together?
I think it's just organic, you know, like we're very different, but we're quite similar as well, if that makes sense. It's like, I think understand how each other work, how each other carry themselves. I'm there to support Mike, you know? Like I'm there to make his life easier so he can be a better head coach. And then whatever needs to be done around that, I'm just gonna do it. If it's coaching some of the ends one day, if it's coaching some of the linebackers, if it's making the calls, like whatever needs to be done, I'm gonna do that to make his life easier at the moment so he can be the head coach he needs to be, you know? And as we go through that, I can start seeing stuff ahead, like that's starting to happen, you know? And that's part of the learning process, you know?
Would you say in ways you're different? You said you're very different. How would you say you're different?
Like I would say I'm not different to a lot of people. I'm from a different country, so like culturally I'm different. He says things, it makes me laugh, and like maybe he didn't mean to make me laugh, you know, like I say things and he's like, what did you say, you know, like, but there's other things I think, there's some principles we have that are very similar and beliefs we have that are very similar, you know.
Has there been like a Britishism that you've had to explain to somebody who hadn't heard it before?
like I'm used, like I kind of got through that phase in Dallas because like the difference here is I'm a defensive coordinator, so I work with a lot more people. So I don't talk to them as much. Like when I was in Dallas, it was D-line. We was in the room every single day. I relax and I start talking more of an English accent. So they understood me, but here I might say something. I said something in the D-line room the other day and they did not have a clue what I was saying. So.
How special teams could be different this year in terms of the players that are going to be kept on the roster, and obviously every coach is involved in that process. You mentioned the depth you have in the interior with the new kickoff return rules. Do you find yourself potentially being at the table pushing for one or two of those guys to make the team that maybe wouldn't have in the past just because of the rules there?
To be honest, if I'm really honest with you, I don't really think like that. I think like say if you're talking about the front, I think any position in the NFL on defense is like the competition level needs to be at its highest. So like these guys understand like John and those guys do a great job of bringing us players. Like the talent level's high here, so like these guys have to compete for a spot, you know. Like that's what makes the NFL the greatest league to me, is that it's hard to play in it, you know. And these guys are competing every day, and let the players show what they can do, and then see where it falls from there, you know.
What can you count on from Hankins, and how does his defense fit in?
First and second down. No, it does. No, we play a base front. He knows how to play nose tackle, and I think that position is a very the more you understand block recognition and you understand how to use people's leverage and timing of that, the better you can perform at times. And I think his experience in the game and his ability allows him to do some of those things, and that will show up for us hopefully.
How's Gotel at that?
He's good, and it's a learning process. To have people like Hank to learn off, I think that's a plus for him.
With Woolen, what have you noticed about just the approach he seems to be taking and the mindset he has going into this year?
I only know him as I know him here. So, like, he's been professional. He goes about his business and he's focused in practice. So, the person that he's shown me is that. So that's how I see him.
All right, last question.
Just with Leonard Williams mentioned, he was learning like 6 different positions along the line. How does that make your defense more adaptable?
I think as Leonard goes through that, like if he learns positions, other people learn positions. I think at times there's times in games where Leo might have to be in a spot because someone else might have to be in a spot. And as you go through that, when you're teaching different positions, you just got to give him the looks and understand the tools to use in that situation. D-line is happening now. It's on you now. So, like, the more he gets reps of that and he's getting it in practice, the more he'll start to understand it.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.